This broadcast is the property of Codependents Anonymous. Reproduction without written permission from Codependents Anonymous is not permitted.
All righty, this is December 19th, 2000. This is the Fellowship Forum monthly call. And this particular month, the topic is, I got it written down, let's talk about how do I feel? So to start this out, just kind of an opening. Before I came into CoDA, I worked with a therapist for a number of years. I still work with that same therapist because I need a lot of help. And that's like 25 plus years, I'm still with the same therapist. And early on in my work with her, because I was definitely codependent and I was definitely traumatized, she would ask me at the beginning of each of our sessions, how are you feeling today? My response was, I feel fine. She's, no, that's not a feeling. How are you feeling? I feel okay. That's not a feeling. And she went through this same doggone question. No, that's not a feeling. How are you really feeling? And finally, my response was, I'm getting really pissed. You keep asking me the same question and I'm telling you how I'm feeling. And she says, finally, we're getting to a feeling. And I was aggravated. I was pissed off. But, you know, as a child, if I showed my anger in any way, shape, or form, even if it was just an expression on my face, there were repercussions. And so I learned as a child that feelings are not safe. And I shut them down. And I didn't even know consciously as an adult, I had shut down all feelings. I was just going through the motions, and I was a great chameleon to fit in wherever I was, because that's what I had to learn in childhood. So going through therapy and starting with my recovery with CoDA, I got to start exploring feelings. I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm cold, I'm lonely, I'm pissed, I'm euphoric, I'm fill in the blank. There are so many feelings out there. And so what my therapist and my sponsor in CoDA really wanted me to do every single day was what is called a check-in. My name is Gail and I'm feeling, fill in the blank with an actual feeling. And that got me into the practice of doing so. I know that when I start feeling lost inside and I can't quite get to where I am, I literally have to ask Gail, how are you feeling right now? And sometimes it's not Gail, the adult, that is answering that question. Sometimes it's Gail, the child within. Sometimes my little girl is scared. And the adult thinks, I just got to buck it up and get through it. But I don't acknowledge with my little girl, I'm scared. I'm scared right now. And allow my little girl within me to talk to the adult within me and get the adult within me to acknowledge how the little girl is feeling and to kind of have this little dialogue. If people sometimes were to witness me, see, I have the pleasure of, I live alone and I have 2 dogs, and I talk to my dogs all the time. And I know that they know what I'm talking about. They understand me. And I will have conversations while I'm trying to work out in my head what's really going on. Because I know if I'm aggravated, I'm tense, I'm on edge, or I'm snippy, and I'm, those types of things, there's something going on. And it's not like I can just pick up the phone to my therapist and say, hey, I need a session right now. This is going on. Or, hey, to a CoDA sister, CoDA brother, or one of my other sisters or brothers in my other program, hey, I just need to talk. And I know with our meetings, we get to go to a CoDA meeting and be able to share our experience, strength, and hope, and our challenges. And sometimes there's not a meeting available. Although right now with all of the meetings going Zoom and virtual, you could just about pick a meeting at any hour of the day or night and somebody will be there for you. So with that being said, I want to open it up for discussion amongst all of us. And again, by using the raise hand function or chatting to me, letting me know that you would like to share about your experience and your challenges, your ideas about how do I feel and how do I work through those feelings, keeping in mind, you know, the only requirement for CoDA is a desire for healthy and loving relationships. Well, relationship with self and with higher power is the paramount, and then relationships with everyone else out there. If I've got feelings going amok in my head, the likelihood is I'm not going to really be able to have a healthy and loving dialogue or relationship with others because I'm not right. And so I've got to figure out how I can get right so that I can be effective and communicate in a loving and healthy form and fashion to be able to continue my healing process. So with that, Gail is going to stop talking and I'm going to open it up for anyone who might like to share their thoughts about feelings. Don't be shy.
I can start.
Okay, Zach, thank you. Zach,
Thank you.
where are you from, Zach?
Toronto.
Wonderful. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing what you shared.
And I'm going to have a 3-minute timer so that we make sure that we have as much opportunity for everyone to share. So if you can't hear it, I'm also going to raise it. Okay.
Got it.
Go for it, Zach.
Okay. So feelings are a kind of an interesting thing for me. I used to think that I was very emotionally aware because I was very tuned into other people's feelings. So that kind of created the illusion for me that I had some level of emotional maturity. And it was only through relationships that I started to see how reactive and for me, it was kind of like the more I would let someone in, the more reactive I would become. And I don't let in a lot of people, so it was easy for me to convince myself that I was, pretty cool. So it was mostly through romantic relationships that I realized that there was something wrong. And even so, even following that, I mostly tried to work it out cognitively, like just on the level of like, why am I like this? Going back through my life and figuring that out. But feelings still weren't like a real factor until fairly recently when I learned about childhood emotional neglect. That kind of filled in this piece of like, that sense of emptiness and just this whole level of reality that I was not like cognizant of. And yeah, I've also been doing a lot of work in naming feelings and trying to check in with myself, which is still a challenge. I have this whole list of feeling words on my wall to help me expand my vocabulary, which has been helpful. And I do find that as I get more in touch, a lot of problems solve themselves. Like just once I identify the feeling, that's it. That's just what was needed. And a lot of the thoughts that usually come up around like solving the problem kind of just dissolve in that moment, or at least change. So yeah, I'm still new to exploring it. I don't have a lot of deep wisdom or experience to share, but I'm excited to hear from everyone else and I'm enjoying the journey so far. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much. Okay, Victor, you are up next. Victor's from New York City.
Yes, and this time it is true. I want to share. Um, Hi, everybody. I made a mistake before, but not this time. I'm so grateful to be in this group today. And I was so looking forward that I kept looking at my clock every just to make sure that I didn't miss it. I have been in this program for almost 2 years. I'm going to be 2 years now in January. It has been um, a lot of struggle. My feelings, I'm learning now what feelings are. I'm a survivor of uh, child molestation, and also um, I was raped when I was 12. Um, and that left me um, wondering, whatever happened to me. And so all my life, I kind of suppressed that. And through relationship, I was able to see that there was something wrong. And my problem was that I couldn't express my feelings because I didn't know what I was feeling. And because those experiences left me with like, there's something wrong with me, therefore, I shouldn't feel. And I sort of blocked that out of my life for many years. And um, finally, I came to a point where it was either I need to get help because I need to know how I'm feeling, what I'm feeling. My feelings are basically were most anger, a lot of anger, because I was not allowed to express that to my perpetrators. Because the funny part about this was that I knew my perpetrators and they were supposed to guide me. Instead of guiding me, this thing happened to me and I didn't know how to feel at that point. That left me bereft and empty inside because, and I went through my life like this, which I seriously don't know how I survived uh, all those years. And um, the feelings came back, and I became very sad. But I was angry because I wanted to feel like this wasn't right for me. That what happened to me was not right. That and I was not able to confront that. I'm working with a therapist just to see, to confront my feelings because and this is where I relate to what I was saying before, by saying I'm okay or I'm fine, I'm really not expressing to what I'm feeling at the moment. And the interesting part about this is that I'm learning now that yes, you're not okay. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling rejected. And this is what basically um, makes me sort of take an inventory of myself and just take a look at those feelings and try to channel those feelings in a more positive way. This program has helped me incredible. I do at least 2 or 3 of the CoDA meetings during the week. I see a therapist, and I'm also in this fellowship, which I can thank my higher power, for allowing me that. So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Victor. All right, who else would like to share about feelings? Even if feelings is something that you're still kind of challenged with and working on. All right, Melanie from BC, Canada, you're up.
Hi, Gail. Thanks so much. Melanie, codependent. Feelings are pretty new to me. I've been with CoDA for just over a month, but when I came to CoDA, I did know I felt crazy and I did know I felt angry. And um, there was a lot of anger in my life. So when I started doing the meetings, and I dived right in, I was doing meetings almost every single day. And, a common theme for me was I didn't understand what I was feeling, so much so that I couldn't even articulate it. I had to print out a feelings wheel and go, okay, well, I only really know anger. That's that's how I feel. And, started to break it down and look around the wheel and go, okay, well, there's other feelings in here. Okay, well, I'm also overwhelmed, and I'm also really sad about what happened. And it was sort of being
You got muted.
there. I'm not sure what happened there.
Okay, you're back.
But yeah, so it is still fairly new, and I think it's hard also to process feelings, and it's easier, to hold up a wall and not go down, because there's hurts and probably childhood traumas in there that I've even yet to discover. But just in the month being with CoDA, it's changed my relationships with my family, my kids, and I'm hopefully stopping the damage that's been even done to them, and stopping that cycle. So, and teaching them that feelings are okay. And I think when you don't know, you don't know, and when you do, you do better. So that's sort of where I'm going from there. So that's my share. Thanks.
Thank you, Melanie. Martha, your hand was up temporarily and went down. Did you want to share?
I could share.
Okay, let's go ahead and take you.
Sure. My family of origin, my parents were both very emotionally shut down, and my father would complain, like any sign of emotion, particularly from women, was them being hysterical or overly emotional. And so I learned from a very early age not to express them and show them. Ironically, though, they both were very angry people who would rage out. But I realize now in my codependence that being shut down from my emotions, particularly anger, because my response to their anger would be to fawn and be very submissive towards them, it made it really difficult to establish boundaries in relationships, because I could not even feel when someone had upset me or hurt me. And so a big part of my healing process was realizing that anger is actually a very valuable emotion for me, because it lets me know when a boundary has been crossed. And anger is a healthy emotion. Aggression isn't healthy. And being able to see that distinction. Before, I would always say, oh, anger's juvenile. I'd always want to be the bigger person and minimize or deny my anger. So I've been really trying to get comfortable with my anger. And I find if I'm noticing challenging emotions, I try to pause with them and feel where I'm feeling them in my body, and the physical sensations that are attached to the feeling. And if I can just tune in and I can feel, oh, the heat in my chest, or I feel like I need to run, and I just pay attention to it, a lot of the time it starts to dissipate, or I get a better understanding of the situation and I can start to address it much better than if I had just repressed the feelings. Yeah, with that, I'll pass. Thanks for listening.
Okay, thank you so much. Arlene, just going to check with you. Arlene, did your hand go up and then come back down? Did you want to share?
Not at all. Thank you. I'm good.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Janice, you're next.
Thanks, Gail. I'm Janice. I'm codependent. So this year, I'm working on my feelings. I'm working on acknowledging them. My main coping mechanism was to ignore them and just,
You got muted, Janice. You want to unmute again?
There we go. Thank you. Yeah, so my main coping mechanism was to just push through them and ignore them, not acknowledge. And I have found out that the minute that I don't acknowledge how I'm feeling, I'm going down the wrong road. So I currently have the luxury of working on what I'm feeling in the privacy of my own home. I don't have any idea how well I'd do if I was out in public and suddenly I got pissed off, or, you know, one of my buttons got pushed, because what I do in the privacy of my own home is to connect with what I'm feeling to the best of my ability. And I have a sheet full of feelings, and then say out loud what I'm feeling. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling angry. And the more I say that, the more that feeling dissipates and sort of fades down. I had no idea that was how I could manage my feelings effectively and acknowledge and honor them all at the same time. It doesn't usually take any longer than 10 seconds because I haven't quite, yeah, I'm still practicing. And yeah, what I do know is when someone asks how I'm feeling, I pause and I think about it. I check in my body to see where anything is stirring, and I try to identify it and share that, depending on who's asking. You know, sometimes people don't really want to know. They just are asking because they want to connect with me, right? And so I've learned how to discern the difference, and know when to share that and when not to. If I have really strong emotions and feelings, I'll end up sitting and crying so that I can release them through the tears. And if I get tired from that because emotions tire me out, I have the luxury of going for a nap and just having a snooze and waking up and feeling better. So is that the timer? Thank you. Thank you very much for listening to me. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Janice. Okay. Let's see, is anyone else?
Sorry.
Carol, would you like to share?
I'd like to, unless there was someone else ahead of me.
It is your
turn. If you might have had somebody. Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. It's Carol from Ottawa. Yeah, this is a very big topic, heavy topic for me. So I had to jot down a lot of my thoughts because I find I probably still will go all over the place, but I'll do the best what I can in the time given. Yes, the question, what do I feel, is a very challenging one for me to answer, because it always depends on, when I'm asked, who is asking me, and how safe do I feel with this person to answer, how much information do I really want to share. Because I come to view my feelings as my internal guidance system and view them as my golden nuggets, because I too grew up in a family where there was a lot of anger and rage, blaming and finger pointing, and it was a very unhealthy environment. I mean, I'm not saying it was that way all the time, but sadly, the negative overrode the positivity of the environment so too often. But the more I've come to understand these so-called negative feelings or bad feelings, I now don't see them as bad, but rather difficult. There's no such thing as a bad or a wrong feeling, but there's definitely difficult and challenging feelings, because I now, as I mentioned, they're my internal guidance system, because they guide me to what I need. And oftentimes I don't know what the hell I need, but I know that I'm feeling frustrated or angry. And I know that's my signal to step back, take a time out, do what I need to do to get myself centered. If I have to vent and scream, do that, but not from someone else, because then my action becomes the focal point. And as someone once told me, when you get angry, you give your power away. And I realized, yeah, that's so true, because I was so reactive, and I'm still working on that and working on learning how to process my emotions and do so effectively. And that's been my goal for some time now, because in as much that, I see anger as a sort of a secondary emotion, because underneath anger is often hurt, frustration. There's a need trying to get met, and my what I need to do from my self is to find a constructive, productive, and helpful manner to channel that anger and not try to push it under the water like a beach ball, because it'll stay there. It'll always be there. And if I push it away, as I often did in a family of environment and then in my adult relationships, I would get really upset and blow up. And like I said, then the focus became my behavior rather than me stating earlier on what it is that I want and need. And the better I get at getting to the wants and needs under my feelings, the better I get at speaking up for myself effectively. There's the addictions expert who says the question to people with addictions is not why the addiction, but why the pain. In other words, what's causing the pain? What's that root of the pain? And very much it's rooted in childhood. The childhood hurts. And then in my adult relationships, triggers come up. And I may not be present because it's reminding of something from my past in my family environment, and therefore I get reactive and tend to will overreact. And because I'm hypersensitive, overly sensitive, I take on the feelings of others. I'm not at my best self, and I need to get myself grounded, and then come back to assessing myself and deal with the person in a peaceful manner. So then I'll be heard and be able to have peaceful dialogue. And I'm probably run out of time. I'm sorry if I missed the beat, but thanks for letting me share.
Thank you so much. And I have to apologize. Normally you can hear it, but if I don't take my hearing aids out before I start the meeting, I'm the one who gets to hear it. You don't hear it. So I'm just holding it up. And I don't want to walk away and put my hearing aids back in the cradle. So Gail is getting a quack, quack, quack in her ear every time the alarm goes off. Okay,
Thank you.
Taylor, you are next.
Thanks, Gail. Hi, I'm Taylor. I am an alcoholic codependent. I'm still making sense of the feelings landscape. And there are some things that I've learned that I want to share as I'm exploring what feelings are and what they mean to me. Hold on, I need a moment to remember what I was going to say. Oh, yes. Thanks. First, I know now in my recovery, as I'm looking back in my codependency and addiction, that when I got a feeling that I didn't want to acknowledge or have, which was most feelings, because I didn't know what was happening and it was concerning to me, then everything that I did going forward had to include ways for me to be ignoring the feeling that I was having and pretending that that wasn't happening. And so all of my behavior and all of the thoughts and feelings that I did contributed to this not acknowledging the feeling and trying to distance myself from it, which ironically then made everything that I was doing about this feeling that I was having that I didn't want to be having. So I, in my efforts to avoid those feelings, I made my whole world about it, and it made me really sick. So in recovery, I've learned about feelings, a couple of things, that my feelings don't mean they don't mean what I thought they mean in codependency and addiction. I had some misinformed definitions about one, the significance of my emotions, and two, what those emotions were telling me. So for example, as far as what my emotions are telling me, maybe this, if I meet someone new and I get this like butterflies feeling in my stomach, in my addiction and codependency, I thought, oh, that must mean that I like them. In my recovery, I identify that feeling as a feeling of actually a fear of rejection for me, and can be an indicator that I have put this person on some kind of pedestal, that I'm appealing to them for their validation. And that doesn't, and those are separate things. Those aren't the same. And so that's one way that I've learned that my my emotions may not necessarily mean what I learned that they mean. And then the significance of them has changed for me in recovery as well, in that my feelings are not the only information that I have to go on for making decisions in my life. And they give me some information, but not all of the information. Like trying something new can make me nervous and can be uncomfortable to be in a new situation. When I listen to my feelings that I'm like maybe nervous and a little apprehensive to try something new, I shut myself down to all new experiences, because that then I can avoid situations that I have that feeling in. But when I take in all of the information, like realizing that in all situations, thanks, Gail. I will wrap up in just a second. In all situations that are new to me, I realize that I have that apprehension. I can know that that's just part of a pattern of the experience of me trying new things. And I can acknowledge that I have that feeling while continuing to move ahead and try new things. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Susan from Canada, it looks like you're up.
Okay, thank you, Gail. I just want to thank all the speakers. They've just been fabulous. Yeah, I have a feeling right now, and it's like, why did I put my hand up? Because I have all this anxiety about speaking up and sharing, and I'm fighting through that fear of being able to say what I need to say, and it's okay, and it won't be a long one. But I found for myself when I've been in the program for quite a long time now, and in my eyes. So when I don't have alcohol, drugs, gambling, or whatever, all I have left is food, because I need that to eat with. So my issue now has been going to the food issue. And it depends on the emotion. If I'm angry, do I go for the salt? Am I feeling guilty? Do I go for the sugar? So there's something to do with the emotion that's coming up for me and what I want to suppress. And so I've been looking at those feelings and what is it that's going on for me. And so I've been really learning a lot through doing some inner child work. And I'm working as well with somebody and a therapist. And I'm finding it really helpful, because for myself, sometimes I get overwhelmed with the feelings and I can't even place what the feeling is. And I need additional support to talk me out of what's really going on in the inside. So I'm really grateful for this program and for all the recovery programs, because aren't we fortunate to have these recovery Zoom meetings? I being on an island, I don't get a lot of meetings. So this is just so fabulous for me. This is such a gift of recovery for me. And I wish everyone happy holidays, and thanks for being on the meeting. Thank you.
Well, you worked through that fear, Susan, and you were good. Okay. So the next person I have up is, for sure, this time, Arlene, right?
Hi, everybody. Arlene, codependent. What a great meeting, great holiday meeting, too. I've been in another program for 34 and a half years and nonstop. And I went to CoDA at that time, those years ago, never stayed with it because stayed with my prime addiction. And since Zoom, I've come back to CoDA and even another program. So I'm loving all this, and I'm pretty well attuned to my feelings now. When I first came into program, not only did I not know what I felt, I didn't know how to put a name to it. There weren't even the words. I had to pick your brains and walk around the meeting and ask you, who's your God and what's God to you, and what do you think about God? And I was picking people's brains, and I was thinking, and I was acting as if, because I was just taking on whatever they were taking on. And then I realized that I thought of myself as a victim, very much so. And of course, work through that through a sponsor and in my own Prime program. But it's now really come to a head for me being in these Zoom meetings and being on, every day and with people from everywhere. It's just wonderful. I have a girlfriend, we're really close, and I haven't heard from her this week. And it's funny, years ago I would have said, what did I say? What did I do? Oh my God, why is she mad at me? And I'm not feeling that at all, but I'm feeling like, oh, I really miss her. We didn't talk this week. What's up? So as soon as this meeting's over, I'm going to deal with it and tell her how it is from my point of view, which is, I miss you. How come we didn't talk this week? It's as simple as that. Instead of going to that negative narrative that I would have given myself in the past. So I thank you so much, everybody, for sharing, because it just helps me to feel not so insane after all. I can kind of think this through, and I'm kind of on with my thoughts and feelings, and so happy holidays.
Thank you so much. I'll share really briefly about, some of you have mentioned that you're in more than one program, as I am. And I was told by my sponsor in AA, my first sponsor in AA, she says, well, that means you're a double winner. I'm like, really? I get to be a double winner because now I'm in 2 programs? And then sometimes if you're in 3 or 4, it's like, oh my gosh, it's a home run. But for me, it's when I call them the drunk monkeys in my head. They start talking and they start trying to convince me about their reality versus what might really be the reality. In other words, if I assume that so-and-so is angry with me, or so-and-so is such and such with me, and then I'll go in this whole scenario. Well, then what did I do wrong? What can I do to fix it? And sometimes it's just as simple as just reaching out and connecting. Because 9 times out of 10, what my drunk monkeys were telling me is nowhere close to the truth. None. And yet that was one of my survival methods when I was growing up through all of my trauma. I too was a survivor of physical abuse, emotional and spiritual abuse, as well as sexual abuse. And my head was totally messed up. And I remember when I first came into CoDA, I thought, finally, there's a program that is really suited for me. Because I first went to AA and NA and Nar-Anon and Al-Anon because I had all these addicts in my life. And I thought, well, if I go to these programs, I'll know how to fix them. And then little by little, they're saying like, no, you're not, this is not your program. I thought, well, where do I belong? And finally, when I walked into CoDA, I was like, oh, this is where I belong. Well, now since that point, I have a secondary club that I get to go to for AA and do my recovery there. And each of my programs, it's just like a different direction from the same issues and concerns that I have. But for me, it's telling those drunk monkeys to shut up and then go out and find out the real truth of what's going on. So, all right, who else? We've got time for maybe 2-3 more shares. Who else would like to be willing to share or brave enough to share? Okay, no takers.
May I suggest, Gail, that if anybody wants to pass, it helps the rest of us know that you want to pass, so that if there's time left, then maybe people can go a second time, if I may put that out there, please.
Well, I happen to have a hand. I have Ingrid.
Hi, everyone. Ingrid, recovering codependent. I didn't know if I'd be able to share. One thing I wanted to say was that the reason I came to this meeting is because every single morning my husband asks me that question about how I'm feeling, because our therapist told him, for someone with complex PTSD like I have, that that was a good way to start the day and open things up between us for the day. Like many others have mentioned here tonight, my family of origin was a difficult one with plenty of abuse, which led me to avoid recognizing my feelings, thinking about my feelings, talking about my feelings. I've avoided all connection with my feelings throughout my life. Both my husband and I are in 12-step programs and in therapy. We've come to all of this very late in life. So both of us have spent our entire marriage avoiding our feelings and avoiding anything to do with our feelings. So doing this so late in life, bad habits are really hard to break. So we're working really hard at trying to identify and talk to each other about what we're feeling. We've both used alcohol, drugs, whatever we can to push them away. And it can be really hard at this point in life to suddenly face those emotions. What I find a lot is him saying to me when he asks me that question, I will talk about something else unrelated to my actual feelings, and he will say, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but what are you actually feeling? So he's really good at digging with me, and I'm really good at running away and not actually saying what I'm feeling. So I'm working really hard on this. I so much appreciate all the shares today, because I'm hearing the stuff I need to hear so that I can recognize and start talking about my feelings and my emotions. I want to thank all of you today for providing me with a little bit of insight around that. And I'm hoping that when I look back at it, what everyone said today, that it's going to help me tomorrow morning when he asks me the question. Maybe I'll be able to actually say what I'm feeling. So thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Linda, while I'm thinking of it, if you can find the link to the Fellowship Forum recordings and post it in the chat, that would be awesome. All right. Okay. I have Jay on the line ready to go. Jay.
Yes, I'm Jay. I'm from Indiana. I'm a Hoosier. I'm new to the program. I got involved by accident. I kind of walked into a meeting by mistake. But I'm here to stay, and I'm here to find some tools, and you all have provided me with tools today to work with feelings. I'm from an abusive home, intellectually abusive, not sexually, and I picked friends and acquaintances who were abusive. And I did 40 years of Freudian analysis to get through it. And what I did was I meshed my feelings with the people I picked to accompany. So I had no boundaries. I had no sense of self. I would, there you are. I would go over and think in her brain. And I wouldn't keep my backbone straight and my thinking for myself. I thought for other people. And so I'm not going to take a long time. I've spent 40 years on boundaries, and now I want some tools to prove that all that money and all that effort meant something, and I can use what you people have to keep going in a method where feelings matter, but they're your own. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we have Lena from Oregon.
Hi, I'm Lena. I'm codependent. Growing up, it was not safe to have feelings or needs, so I just didn't learn those words. So way later, I printed out lists of feelings and needs. I tried to drop them into the chat. It doesn't work. Phone lines were corded, so I'd have those lists next to the phone. I'd have them in my purse because I'd know I was feeling something, but I have no idea what I was feeling. So I would look at the list. And sometimes it went from the need to the feeling. I couldn't identify the feeling first. But needs and feelings seem to be related, and my bottom line was respect. If I could be aware I wasn't being treated respectfully, then I could sort of figure out what I was feeling. I listened to some guy talk. It was a meditation talk, and they said something about feelings, which I haven't heard before. Somebody touched on them in here. Like feelings are in your body. There's a temperature to them, like anger would be hot, or dissociating might feel cold. A sense of weight to them, like sleepy or eyelids get heavy. A movement, it might be a standstill. It might be feeling like running through the room. It might be a rumbling tummy. And then a tightness, and look like paying attention to lungs. So it's a new way for me to be thinking about feelings because of this person talking. One of my meetings, they have a paragraph in their script that has a whole bunch of feelings, and I'd pick one out and then I would try and remember it. It took me a month and a half to take in the word optimistic. I can bring it up now. I could remember it started with an O. I have 31 years of recovery. So I'm laughing at how long it's taken me to take these in, but it's really changed my world. It's changed my relationship to self, my relationship to others, to have feelings and needs, my ability to dialogue with people, to actually have a conversation towards meeting both people's needs, and started peeling open, letting my inner child out of the closet. She was bound and gagged and I didn't want to hear from her. And now there are about 15 of them. They're all sort of coalescing into one, and it's just amazing that it comes from the feeling words and being able to put words to what is going on inside of me, and like have conversation between adult me, little me, and my higher power. It's just amazing. Anyway, okay, thanks. Offline. Bye.
Thank you so much. All right, we have come to that time where we're going to start wrapping up. And I'll remind you that once we finish, we'll leave the line open, because if people would like to have further conversations, we can certainly do that. But what I'd like to do is have us go ahead and do the CoDA closing prayer. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. If you want to join me, that's wonderful. We thank our higher power for all that we have received from this meeting. As we close, may we take with us the wisdom, love, acceptance, and hope of recovery. And then those of you that would like to join me in the Serenity Prayer, mic on, mic off, however you would prefer to do. God,
God,
the serenity
grant me the serenity
Grant me the serenity
to accept the things I cannot change,
to accept
to
the things I
accept the
can't
things I
change,
cannot change,
courage to change the
Courage
things I can,
to change the things I
courage to
courage to
change the
change
things
the
I
things I
can,
can,
and the wisdom to know the
and the
difference.
wisdom to know the difference.
and the wisdom to know the difference.
It has been amazing and awesome to participate with each and every one of you. I thank you for allowing me to be your facilitator. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now. One moment.